Okay, so welcome to Module 2 in this user training series here at Pawsey. The topic is logging in the system. This is, I remind this is Module 2 out of 11 of the Supercomputing user training. So the learning outcomes for this module cover just a few topics that are quite crucial and enable all of the subsequent modules and practices to happen. So this is about what does it mean to remotely access a system, how to use login nodes properly, how to log in into Setonix, and a few best practices around these basic but very important tasks. During the module, watch out for these signs that highlight key callouts during the session. So yeah, logging in. So what does it mean to remotely access a computer, a system? So a remote access is accessing a computer which is physically distant from where you sit, using your own local machine by means of the internet connection that connects together all of the computers in the world. And to enable this at Pawsey, currently we make mostly use of a command line interface, so which is a type of interface to use a computer that requires user to type textual commands in a textual program, and then read out the outputs in a textual way as well. There are also graphical interfaces to computers, but currently this is our key way of interacting with Setonix and our other supercomputing systems. So to access Setonix, then we use a command line interface remotely. We actually connect to the login nodes, as I mentioned in the previous module. So these are dedicated just for login purposes. They enable kind of so-called administrative work. So familiarizing the supercomputer, that will be great, and that's what we're going to mostly use during these training sessions to just gain some practice with hands-on commands on Setonix. They're useful also for organizing and browsing your directories and files, set up your analysis, and submit the actual computational workflows, and then check the results. But the key best practice or bad practice to avoid actually is not to run programs nor transfer data to the login nodes. The login nodes are not designed for that. So we're going to see how to run programs on the compute nodes. We're going to see how to transfer data using the data mover nodes. Login nodes are for login and administration. This is important also. This is not only for you. This is about being mindful of the other users of the system. Setonix is a shared supercomputer with hundreds of users. So appropriate use of the various components, so it means that everyone can use it effectively. And so this is time for actually the first hands-on bit. So for now, I'm going to do this. In a few minutes, it will be your turn. So this is about logging into Setonix. What I have here is a shell terminal. So this is a Mac computer. So I have my terminal available out of the box. I'm going to comment soon about other options for other types of systems. For now, let me show it how to do it from this terminal. The commands are going to be the same. The only difference is the program you're going to use. So we're going to use the command called SSH to connect remotely to Setonix. And this is followed by the username that was assigned to you at setonix.pawsey.org.au. After that, there is a notice to users about conditions of use, and then you will be prompted for a password, your own password. Be careful when you type it. It's never shown, so if you make typo, it's hard to get them. Be careful when typing, and then when you have typed it, you hit enter, and you are in the system. Use the hostname command. Yeah, it's Setonix. We have added if you scroll up after login, there is a Quokka welcoming you. This was the outcome of a little ASCII art competition we ran as we were deploying Setonix. Yeah, and we'll say hi to you every time you log in. Well, we're now inside Setonix. Actually, I am inside Setonix. So let me go back to the slides because now we need to enable you to log in as well. Just a little note. So the cluster name for Setonix that you use in the SSH command is Setonix, and the other systems have also a similar conventions. So we have also Topaz and Gara wallet that can be accessed in the same way. In terms of which programs to use, which command line programs to use, so Linux and Mac come with a pre-installed terminal programs. Can be terminal on Mac, Xterm in Linux. For Windows users, we typically recommend to download and use MobXterm Portable Edition, which provides a similar interface to what you just saw in my screen, but for Windows users. So now it's your time to get started with that. We have here a few instructions, basically about repeating what I've just done. So yeah, the idea was for you to log in, have a look at what's in there. There are message of the day announcements after the quokka, as you saw. There is this quite long list of things. There are some conditions of use around acknowledging usage of Pawsey in your publications as acknowledgement in them. There are other forms of best practices and reminders. Some of them are about upcoming changes to the system or recent changes to the system, like these ones here. Currently, we also have a migration note because we are still in the 3-month period of migration from the legacy systems, Magnus, Galaxy, and Zeus to Setonix. There can be also other pieces of information. There is a reminder about the scratch purge policy, which I'm going to cover in the next module. Information on upcoming maintenance, and so on. And the quokka, of course. For those of you who are logged in, you can try a couple of commands just to familiarize with the shell. And I have some examples here in this slide. So I encourage you to give it a go to these points here. I'm just going to wait for a couple of minutes, and then I'm going to show you the outcomes of these commands and comment on them. Okay, so let me show you something. So this is also on the slides. You can use the hostname command to get the name of the server you're currently on. So the Setonix login nodes are called Setonix dash and the number. There are many of them, but you would always log in on the main Setonix domain name, as we saw, setonix.pawsey, and then there is just a round-robin policy that distributes users over multiple nodes just to better manage the workload on the nodes. With the command pwd, you can get your current directory, and as for typical Linux servers, upon login, you will be in your home directory. And if you have a look at the content, these should all be for you today refreshed training accounts. There's probably a bin directory that is there for usage, but not many other things otherwise. You can use the echo command to explore the content of variables, as the ones in the example. So like echo and then $ followed by the name of the variable. The home variable as actually the path of your home directory. My Scratch and my software are special directory paths that point to specific file systems on Setonix, and I'm going to cover those more extensively in the next module. Otherwise, let me move on and comment on some common login problems, and one of them can be forgetting the password. And we have there is a handy link in the Pawsey support portal, which just enables you to reset the password if you've forgotten it. Second point is what can happen, what the previous question was about. So getting your IP blacklisted due to too many failed login attempts, and in this case, you need to contact the help desk if you want to be whitelisted again. As Chris said, the best protection against this is to type your password carefully. And also, we sometimes we run regular maintenances, typically currently every 1 or 2 months on the system, and in those occasions, some components of the system might not be operational. And if you didn't get the email about that, sometimes they go on the spam box. You might not be aware of that. So we provide regular information on upcoming maintenances on the login screen, but also through the Pawsey newsletter, and also on a page in the Pawsey support portal. Some good practices around accessing Setonix. So to improve security, consider using SSH Key Authentication, which is a method to increase the security compared to just typing in your password. And I'm going to comment on this in the next slide. Actually, I'm going to show you an example on how to do that. Do not share your account. This is actually against the conditions of use of Setonix. So accounts are personal. They need to match and map one-on-one the actual physical persons researchers using the system. If new people join a project, the project leader can invite these new people to get their own account. And never share your password, not even to us. Not even to us in a support ticket. Passwords are personal and must not be shared. Okay, let me just show you just a quick demo on how you can improve SSH connection to Setonix and the security of it using SSH keys. So this is going to be recorded as well, so we'll be there for the record. And let me show it to you with a demo. Today, I'm just going to show you how to create and use the keys for once. There are ways documented in the Pawsey user documentation with link below. There are ways to automate this process to make it a bit more user-friendly if you log in frequently as a user. So let me go back to the terminal. Now I am inside Setonix, but let me log out with exit. So I'm going to show you how to create and use these SSH keys to connect to Setonix in a more secure way. So these are a couple of commands that you basically need to just run once and likely regularly, just to, if you want to refresh your keys for even improved security. So let me show this command. So there is a command, an SSH command to generate these SSH keys. And this is what we recommend in the user documentation, to use these additional flags. So there are many algorithms that are used to create these secure keys. The one we recommend is called ECDSA. There is a byte size for those, and we recommend 5 to 1 in conjunction with ECDSA. Then you need to provide a name for these SSH keys. In your let's call it home directory, there would be another shortcut for home. There is normally, oh, apologies for that, type it again. There is normally a .ssh directory which contains information on the SSH program that you use for these connections. And let's give it a name like Pawsey example. This is a custom name you can pick. Keys still come with a passphrase, which is kind of a password. I will comment on this a bit more later. So you need to define also a passphrase. Always define one if you really want to improve your security. And now we have the keys generated. And then the last preparatory step is to actually copy one part of the key to Setonix, to the login nodes. And you can achieve that with a SSH copy ID command. You will say that the key you want to copy is the one you just created. And you actually need to provide this .pub, because as I can show you later, these are key pairs. So there are two files that actually make the key pair, and this is the one to copy in the server you wish to connect to. And now I'm just repeating the same username at Setonix that I also used for connecting to the system. So this is a command to copy the .pub, the public key, over to Setonix. Okay, the key has been added to the Setonix login node. Now the setup for these keys is done, and now the way I can log into Setonix is a bit different. So I can use the usual SSH command, but also provide the path to the key I just created. So -I, the directory home.ssh Pawsey example, which was the name I chose. And then, as I did before, and now, instead of a password, I ask for the passphrase I created for the key. So it doesn't look too much different, but there is quite a crucial difference, because when you use key, there is this additional layer of authentication that involves comparing your keys locally stored in your local computer with the key we just copied over to the Setonix login node. And these have to match, otherwise the login won't happen; it will fail. And in this way, so these keys, these two files, which are these keys, are much longer than a password. They are typically in the range of hundreds or thousands of characters long, and they're used inside cryptography algorithms that make the matching and that make the hacking of these keys currently very hard, if not impossible. And that's how you get the added layer of security. So if you get into the habit of using the keys and the passphrase, so even if someone steals the passphrase, they still won't be able to log in, because they will need the key files. And even if they steal that bit that got copied in the login node, let me show where this went. So I'm now in Setonix. This went in the file .ssh authorized keys in the home. So this is the bit that got added. This is the .pub file that I copied over. Even if this gets stolen, they still cannot access. And the reason for that is that let me now log out the system again. And let me show you what's inside the .ssh directory in my local system and my local laptop. There are actually two files. The .pub file is the one that I copied over. It's a called public key. It's the one that you can kind of safely share on the servers. It's not enough to hack the connection. But then there is also the private key, which is the file Pawsey example, and that's the one that needs to be kept confidentially stored in your machine. Without that, there's no way to access the system. And so that with this additional layer, you can improve the security of your connection. This is a way we recommend users to log in. It basically, as you saw, let me just summarize. It just involves this couple of extra setup steps that are documented in the documentation as well, generating the key and copying the public one over to Setonix. And then what happens is that when you log in, you need to provide an initial flag to the SSH command, and that's how you get the extra security. Just a couple of extra aspects on remote accessing Setonix. There are options for graphical user interfaces. Sometimes this is useful, say, if you need to perform light graphical post-processing of data, and they highlight light, so small data sets. There are programs such as GNUplot or Matplotlib or similar that just enable to pop up graphical outputs in your local machine. And the way to enable that via SSH, so it's as simple as these three lines. So in Linux and Mac terminals, it's about adding an extra flag to the SSH command, -X on Linux, -Y on Mac. For Windows Mobile Xterm, there is a special flag about X11 forwarding, that's how it's called, in the SSH settings. And if you do that, you get to also you can use lightweight graphical applications that would show you graphical output with the same SSH connection. For large-scale visualizations, we do provide remote visualization services. This is the landing page, and we also have nice user documentation for that, which is outside the scope of this training. So we have also dedicated training series on remote visualization. So in summary, in this module, we learned about remote access and command line interface. I showed you how to log in into Setonix using the SSH command in a shell program. I shared with you some best practices and bad practices around logging in the system. So we have the Pawsey support portal with quite useful information for researchers using the system. There is a user support documentation with a lot of details on over a quite broad range of topics. We also have the support portal if you need to get in direct touch with the Pawsey support staff that can help you with a range of issues while using the system. And we also have the Pawsey Friends newsletter to get to stay up to date with news and events at Pawsey. Okay, so the module is finished, and I'm happy to take questions.